This is what happens when you play Kyle Manzardo every damn day.
He is that guy. Play the young bloods. We're going to talk guards in just a second, but we have a lot of live shows coming up that we're really excited about. Starting week 1, home opener of the Browns will be in the Muni lot. All you have to do is look for our At the Office flag, which will be flying high above us. We're going to be there recording, maybe even getting some trivia, doing a little giveaways. I don't know. Look for us. The following week will be in Garrettsville at Slim and Jumbo's. Bit of a drive for our Cleveland listeners, but it's a Browns backers bar and they're doing the dog walk. So we'll be live from there at 11. And then the week after that, we're back in Muni again. We'll be at the Kennel, which is that great big Browns bus decked out in the Browns colors right at the entrance of Muni. We'll be broadcasting live once again. Noah, I'm so excited for it. And we also have a giveaway.
We do have a giveaway, and that is for a Cleveland Browns player jersey of your choice. You get to pick it. All you have to do is subscribe to At the Office here on YouTube and leave a comment on one of the most recent videos. It doesn't matter. As long as you leave a comment, you will be entered. The winner will be chosen October 1st. And go Browns.
Tell me this, Noah. If you were to win our own contest, which you obviously can't, which player would you be choosing?
I would be choosing one and the only Shador Sanders because I'm not paying for it because I'm obviously winning a giveaway. Uh, if I were to win my own contest, though, I don't know. I have so many Browns jerseys. I don't really need to add to the collection. What about you, man?
Andre Schmidt. I'm
Andre
sticking with
Schmidt.
him as he's my fantasy guy, and I gotta just keep throwing it out into the universe.
I feel you. I feel you. Let's talk some guards ball, man.
Let's. Heavy sigh. The Guardians, where to start? First of all, we talked about them pre All Star break when they were on the path to catch up to Detroit, potentially push for the division, definitely push for the playoffs. Now, post All Star break, it's a completely different story. They've gone, I think it's 19 and 17 since then, including a 6-game skid, a 3-game shutout in which a player and manager got into it a little bit of a scuffle. There's just so much to talk about. Tensions obviously rolling over here.
Yeah, tensions are rolling over here. Let me touch on the scuffle between Tanner Bybee and one Stephen Vogt real quick. You can see the video playing here. If you haven't seen the clip, it was viral. And if you're a Guardians fan watching this video, I don't know how you haven't. But a lot of people were questioning, is Vogt already losing the locker room after 1 year being the manager of the year in the AL last year and now this year with the slide that has been the slide that the Guardians are on? They question it. Vogt came out after the scuffle and said emotions are high with everybody. Tanner's one of the most competitively fiery people I've ever been around, and he's came in trying to pump the boys up, and I told them not now, take it downstairs. And so we've already talked. We're good. Basically saying that it was a nothing burger. He was just being the coach and trying to get a fiery guy to calm down, especially because he was trying to fire up his fellow dugout mates after having another poor performance. What do you think of this whole situation, E?
I think it's a nothing story for the most part. It does make me a little nervous in that you didn't see these things before with our previous manager. Obviously, he was one of the best in baseball. I hate to see him across the dugout, by the way, for the Reds, but I don't know. It feels like a slippery slope to me. If he is losing that dugout, that's not a good sign.
No, it's not a good sign, but I don't think that's where this is at. They've
Agreed.
always, and they being the players, obviously, have always spoke so highly about Bo, even in the face of adversity. I mean, there's been plenty of adversity this season. Need I speak about Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz? But I don't think this is the situation. I think we, just as us, the fans, are frustrated, they too are frustrated with the roller coaster of winning a bunch and looking like the Guardians we saw last year and then going on a 3-game skid, getting shut out every game. I know they've won the last 2 games now. Shout out my boy Kyle Manzardo getting everyday reps now, hence the cold open and whatnot. I had to give some love to Kyle Manzardo. But yeah, it's time to play the young guys, is it not?
It is time, and I want to talk about that in just a second because there are a few bright spots. The young guys playing, like you mentioned, Parker Messick has been nothing short of great. I mean, his
Yeah.
His start at home, you see here, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, 0 earned runs, obviously, 0 walks. That's an interesting stat. We talked about it a
Yeah.
little bit last time when he made his debut. He has a lot of control and a lot of consistency there. So that's a bright spot. But the question is, you said, do we start playing the young guys? The answer is yes. But my question is, how do we pivot that, and what do we do next year so that we're not sitting in the same spot?
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Obviously, something that we haven't talked about here yet on the channel is the fact that they did finally waive Carlos Santana. I feel like a lot of fans, despite the emotional ties that there is with one Slam Tana, have been waiting for this move so people like CJ Kafis and Kyle Manzardo can get daily reps in the majors and really build up and potentially be the guys that their prospect status pointed them to be. So I think that's interesting. So I think that's step one of getting the young guys up here. Step two to me is when Major League Baseball expands the roster where you're allowed to add one pitcher and one prospect up, and it doesn't count towards their clock, their competitive clock and whatnot. When September 1st rolls around, I want to see our Aussie up here, man. It doesn't matter at this point. I don't think that they're gonna make the playoffs. If they do, it's just a nice little bonus to what has been a crazy season. But I want to see one Travis Bazana up here playing some baseball early, and if he looks bad, he's fine to look bad. He's playing a month of baseball. What do you think about it?
Well, first of all, did you just say playoffs? I mean, in the playoffs, why are we even talking about playoffs? They have, according to CBS, they have a 3.6% chance of making the postseason. It's not happening. I agree with what you're saying, especially on Carlos. We that needed to happen. Uh, it's systemic though, and this is the problem. We sign a guy that's past his prime that would have been a great name 10 years ago, but he doesn't do us any good. And this is all down to ownership. They can't afford to bring in a real name when we need them. And we're going to be stuck in this loop. We're going to be stuck in this loop of 1 year we make the playoffs, we probably get bounced in the divisional. The next year we might not make the play, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it just,
Yeah.
life just keeps going like that. And it's really frustrating because there's some really obvious changes that they need to make. We've got to stop renting outfielders and having this patchwork outfield. That's not working. And I get it. Guys that are good are expensive, but it's not doing us any favors.
No, well, and then you go down the rabbit hole of Stephen Kwan was on the trade block at the
Right.
deadline, and that's another outfielder, the only consistent outfielder we have right now.
And he's
Uh,
not getting extended.
No, not with how everything is played out to this point. He's not. Kafis has played a lot of outfield reps. They've prepped him to be an outfielder because that's what the team really needs. They don't need a more of a logjam at first base, which is his true, tried and true position. So hopefully he's an answer. I mean, he's shown a lot of promise this season. He's been fun to watch. It's funny though, because I feel like his offensive output is only when they're on the road right now. I have seen him play in person 2 or 3 times now, and he doesn't do anything. And then we go to the West Coast or something, and it looks like he's hitting a home run every game he's in.
Yeah, it just, the question is too, like our hitting with runners in scoring position really dipped post All-Star break, and we talked about getting help for Jose, but where are those changes? Like, why day to day are they so inconsistent?
Why?
Um,
Uh, we know why. It's the ownership, like you said. It's the fact that we're trying to do the same thing we've always done, and it only cracks and the lightning strikes once in a while. Hence the 2016 run. Um, you can
well,
only
that was
do
a hell of
so
a team. I mean, look at who you
right,
had
but
on that team.
even then you're talking about you had all the prospects lined up in the right order, you made a couple moves at the deadline and you moved forward. That's the formula to success here for them, because the Dolans will not spend money as much as we would love for them to just spend a little bit more money. We're not talking Yankees, we're talking like Brewers salary cap.
Which they're
But
the hottest team in baseball right now, I'd argue.
right, no, they are for sure. They were, at least they were on a hell of a win streak. I just I don't know what the answer is, because I don't know if there's a great answer out there with how our finances are set up. And that's what's the most frustrating thing to be a fan of the Cleveland baseball organization.
Yeah, that's where I'm at because in order to compete, they need to do 4 things. They need to Add consistent batting. I mean, that's obvious, right? We talk about this every year. It's kind of getting
Yep,
old at this point.
really old.
Reinforce the bullpen. It's been a decent bullpen, but we lost a pretty big name starter that we traded for, obviously. We lost our closer, and that's not the Guardians' fault, but those are holes and issues that need to be addressed.
Yeah,
They're somewhat forced to trust the youth pipeline, but I do think that that's important that we embrace that. And then we talked about adding a veteran presence for stability. I think those four things are the most important aspects for the Guardians moving forward, but money is going to continue to hold us back.
yeah, and you say add a veteran presence.
Like,
Yes,
not
do
too
that.
old.
But don't add Carlos Santana or some random like you have like a decent gut feeling like we did with Josh Bell a couple years ago. None of that,
Hey,
like an actual
I
solid
got a
player.
guy. He
Oh
goes by
god.
Big Poppy. He's a little past his prime, but that's the kind of shit though that the Guardians try, and it's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating. I posed the question about calling the Zana, Travis Benzana, number one prospect, number one overall draft pick just a year ago, to the Guardians when the September roster expansion happens. Do
Yeah.
you want to see that? Do you think it's too early with some of the injury history he had in the minors with the Galley boys this season?
I'm split. I don't worry about injuries in that you're playing the same game. The injury
Yeah.
risk is there whether you're playing in AAA or you're playing up in the league. What I worry about is seeing pitches. That's what he needs, right? He needs to see more action. If we can be patient with him, knowing that he might not come lighted up, but seeing those pitches will help his development, I'm fine with that. If he comes up and he does nothing and then there's frustration, I think that's an issue because we're not developing well. So it really depends how we handle him, but I wouldn't mind seeing him.
I want to see him because as a fan base, if he comes up and does nothing, the fan base will probably get a little bit frustrated. But if there's one thing I do believe in is this front office's ability to be patient with prospects. We've seen it with some of the pitchers panning out or not panning out. It just fits for them to do something like this. And if it's not going to hurt his clock and make him worth a bunch of money because of the extension of the rosters and how that works, I'm all the way here for it. And I feel like they should be too, and feel like they're not rushing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my biggest worry is that, you know, J Ram's 32
Yeah.
and that's not lasting forever as much as we'd like it to. So take JRAM away, and what do you even have on this team? My point is, though, that window is shrinking so fast. I don't even know if we have a window, but you get my
Yeah.
point. We have one of the best players in baseball, and we're doing nothing to help him. The fact that if they don't sell soon, and I mean like next year, then JRAM's certainly not getting a ring. There's no chance.
Do you? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. And maybe the answer, unfortunately for Jose, is not being a Cleveland Guardian for the rest of his career, as much as that pains me to say. But the situation that we find ourselves year in and year out underneath the ownership of the Dolans is so beyond frustrating because I feel like we're so close. Like it felt like we were like maybe a piece or two away last season, and then we trade Josh Naylor and we trade Andres and Jimenez. And sure, maybe some of those moves make sense in the long run. Slade Ciccone pans out. Andres Jimenez continues to not be as good behind the plate
Well, we don't
as
even
he
have the
was.
player we traded him for as part of
That's
that
true too.
package. So
Well, we have some of the prospects as well still, which is going back to the ye old Guardian mantra of, well, at least we got a really good prospect.
I guess if you're gonna be the Guardians in the sense of payroll, why aren't they structuring their team for to get guys on base? I know there's so much talk around Moneyball. Maybe that's dropped out of favor a little bit, but the A's they did that for a reason, and obviously the guy came from Cleveland, but they did it for a reason, and that is that in order to score runs, you got to get guys on base. Sorry if I'm quoting the movie, but it's pretty simple. 1+1 = 2 in baseball. And yet, it seems like we keep going for Carlos Santana is a great example. He's not a contact get on base guy. He was a power hitter. I say was because he's past his prime. So instead of that, I'd rather have a guy that's drawing walks that J-Ram can hit in, that Manzardo can hit in, etc. And I just feel like we don't do a good enough job at that. This roster construction isn't great.
Yeah, but then you look at some of the prospects too. You look at Kyle Manzardo, you look at CJ Kafis, you look at Bazana coming up. Some of the big names that we've talked about, even Chase DeLauder, if he could stay healthy for the love of God. If these guys can get called up and play to the ability of their hype, it's
100%.
there. The roster construction is there. We just need to get there. And
The
my theory with the Cleveland Guardians is that we do what is a roller coaster. One year we're really good, one year we're really bad. It's been true since like 2020, 2019 even.
the
Next
problem
year,
though, you're right, we have the youth pipeline, but we never see it through to its end point. That's the problem. We're going to cut a guy as soon as they're good enough to get something in return. We're always building for the future constantly.
yeah.
And when you do that, these guys have to gel. I'm not saying we didn't really have a choice with Frankie Lindor. We weren't going to pay him, obviously, but he was entering that prime. He was in his prime. He needed, if he had a couple more years with us, kind of thing, him and J Ram together, those are teams that vie and play for championships. But we got to cut bait as soon as they get a big offer because we don't have a choice.
Yeah, I know we don't have a choice, but that's the cards that we're dealt with as
For now.
Guardians fans for now, unless ownership changes. But we don't know what that looks like. There's going to potentially be a transition of power later this decade that'll happen, but you never know. It's the situation is always going to be frustrating because it feels like we've gotten so close so many times, whether it be 2016, whether it be the 90s, those different series, but it
95,
just hasn't.
97.
Yeah, it just hasn't happened yet. And in terms of the immediate future and right now, this season, I'm at the point where I want to see all the young guys playing. I want to be able to get them experience, maybe make some evaluations here and there. I don't think it's smart to go full blown evaluation mode yet, especially when we're talking about 1 month left of, well, a month ish left of baseball.
Yeah.
But it's time to get some of these guys up here and get the ball rolling on what could be the big names to help a Jose to continue to move forward. I know we feel very doom and gloom right now, and yes, we want them to spend more money, but if these guys just flip the switch, if just a couple of them turn out to be the prospects that they're supposed to be, we're in good shape looking at 2026.
I hope you're right. As a baseball guy, it's a little frustrating. They've dropped down to being pretty low as a favorite team of mine. And I don't say that. I mean, the Browns are perpetually bad too, but I don't know. They're more fun to watch than the Guardians.
Yeah, it's interesting. It goes up and down. Like last year, having the ballpark pass, being a fan, going to so many games, it was exciting. This year, it's been an ebb and flow type of season for me, where sometimes I go like 4 times in a week, and then I don't go for like 2 or 3 weeks. And that obviously, I mean, aside from them not being at Progressive Field,
Right.
it's just been a roller coaster of a season between the different suspensions, between how good and how horrible this team has played sometimes. But my outlook for next year, if things fall into place, I'm going to remain positive. And with roller coaster theory, they were bad this year, which means they're going to be awesome last year. And we've slowly climbed. It was the divisional, it was the wild card, it was obviously being at the ALCS next year or last year. What's in store next year? I'm a superstitious person sometimes, so we'll see.
I'll leave us on a more sour note because you had the positivity there. The biggest problem that I have with the Guardians is that we know it's not going to be enough. Regardless of how good we are next year, they're not winning the World Series. That's my biggest issue. And as a team, I think your job should be to do everything you can to win a championship, right? Browns aren't winning the Super Bowl this year either, but they're making moves to try to compete. It feels like the Guardians, I know baseball's different because there's no cap, but we know that there's no chance and the likelihood of us getting to the series, uh, I don't know. I mean, maybe in the next 10 years, maybe.
We will table this conversation as baseball winds down. Who knows if we'll have another Guardians topic, if it's even worth it. Maybe Bazana gets called up and we want to talk about that. But maybe it's best to just table this topic for now until we get closer to next season, because it seems as if most of this baseball season for the Cleveland Guardians is going to be a wash.
It is indeed. Thank you for watching at the office. The debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.